Good morning, everyone. It's Gail with TradersHelpDesk, and I'm not going to go through all the markets this week, just the ones that I see a potential on. So I just wanted to let everyone know I'm not going over all the markets, just the ones that have potentials on them. The first one I'm going to start with is the emini Russell 2000. Now it is Sunday morning, about 5:20 in the morning. And the one thing that I'm looking at here is we're making higher highs and, of course, lower highs in the stochastics. You can also see that we're overextended on this RSI. Now, for those of you that don't know, the RSI is really good for measuring trend, but it doesn't work very well with a choppy market, which is why I also have the stochastics on here. Now, the ADX, you can also see is going to confirm the divergence of the stochastics. We're also overextended on the daily, and we also have the bearish expectation bar. So my anticipation would be that it would come back to at least 1560.90, and there is a potential for it to even come back to here if the daily actually comes down in test. It could also stop right here. Personally, I think that the fast moving average is going to pull up to 1560.9, and we will at least get a bounce off of this area. That's what I would be watching for. But this is a really good pattern to go down in time to actually trade or even use a touch bracket on when they become available. Now, the next one I wanted to go over is the S&P 500. And that's not my favorite market, but I do like the setup that is presenting right now. Again, just like the Russell, you're seeing that divergence here, both on the stochastics and on the ADX. And you can also see a slight divergence between the last high on the RSI and the current high on that RSI. So I would anticipate at least a pullback to 2990.75. If this pattern rolls into the pattern over here on the daily, we could actually see a retracement that's even stronger than that. We could also see a double top formation occur over on the weekly. Of course, we have FOMC this week. That is on Wednesday. So it could create a very volatile move, depending on what they do, of course. Now, I do think the fast moving average is going to pull up to the 2990.75 area. You also see we have the bearish expectation bars right at the resistance area up here. So these are the areas that I'm watching. Again, it would be an ideal situation for lower time frames and even potentially the touch brackets. On the YM, which is the E-mini Dow, you can also see that we've come back to test this high, and so far it has held. So I think we'll probably go back to 27,040. You also see that the ADX is showing you divergence, and you're overextended on the RSI. So I think that may give it some push to push back down. You also see that we're at this congestion dot right here. Okay, so with this being overextended, I would anticipate them to come back and test the 2704 area. And over on the weekly chart, you can see that we have a potential here for a double top. Also, there's a potential here in general for a head and shoulders pattern. I have been watching this pattern for a while now, and if this develops, we could see a downturn, but as of right now, it has not developed. So I would just be expecting a retracement. I do think the fast moving average is going to pull up to the 2704 area. And again, this would be an ideal market to start looking at the lower time frames to see if they have your trade set up, or even to trade the touch brackets if you feel it's going to be very volatile. Over on the Forex side, there's only 3 markets I'm going to review. One is the euro dollar, and you can see that on the daily chart you are at the ATR, and this is a potential reversal bar depending on what the next bar does. But what I would anticipate is that price will at least come down to somewhere in this range right here, which is 1060 down to 1013. Okay, and you have the divergence here. You can see from this high to this high you've made a higher high, yet the stochastics made a lower high. That is not confirmed on the RSI, and it's not confirmed on the ADX. If you're looking over on the daily chart, you can see that this is actually going in the direction that it's supposed to be going in. So that gives me an indication that we may only get to here or to the medium term moving average, which is here, right directly under 1040. Then if buyers start to come into the market again, we could see the euro dollar go up higher. Now the next one I'm going to review is the USD Swiss franc, which is not one I normally trade because it's a slower market. But this does have a really good setup on it, in that you have come back and tested this area, and you formed that bullish expectation bar. So in my opinion, this is probably going to go up to around 99.40. You can also see that you have the potential here for a reversal bar to the upside. It may actually come back and test this area where all of the bearish expectation bars have developed. That's what I would be looking at. Now, is this a great setup? No, but it's one that I could go down in time and look to see what's going on. You can also see that as this was developing here, you've made a magenta peak, and that also indicates that this may push back up to this ATR. Now the big ATRs are actually the support and resistance from the lower time frames. The smaller ATRs are from the 360 time frame. And if I take all the drawing off, you can see, barely see, but the ATR is right in this area up here. So that's where, you know, it could likely pull back to, and that would be the area that I'm watching. Now this is usually a slow moving currency, so I don't trade it very often. I like the faster paced currencies, but it is a good currency to trade. And finally, we're going to go to the USDJPY. And on this one, you can see that it's trying to make a double top right here. Okay. And you've got the divergence here, and you're overextended here. So that tells me that more likely than not, we are going to push back to the 107.59 area. This fast moving average is probably going to pull up, and you'll see a confluence of a potential support area right here. Now, once it does that, it does have overhead resistance right here at 108.76. But again, we do have the FOMC on Wednesday, so it could actually go through that area depending on how they react to the FOMC. Now, on Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning New York time, I will be doing a webinar to follow up on these. It is a free webinar, and I have put the link below. So all you have to do is click on the link and register, and I will send you the webinar link for Monday morning at 8 a.m.